Hey Off-White Coat listeners, it is my privilege to get to tell you about this sweet deal from our friends over at Picmonic. If you haven't heard about Picmonic, it is a fantastic picture-based mnemonic platform that can certainly help out any student. Most of the videos are around 2 minutes long and provide a quick and effective way to memorize material for any upcoming medical exam. It is extremely efficient. They have this search bar function where you can search playlists on general topics like renal to step 1 to step 2, or even first aid and other books. If you want to review the Picmonic for later, you can even make a playlist of your own. Picmonic even has this repetition algorithm that is spaced out according to your learning needs. This helps with increasing long-term retention and allows you to review the right information at the right time. One of my favorite functions is the quizzes that are associated with each Picmonic. I'll take the quiz first and then learn about the associated pictures and what facts I need to sharpen up on. Honestly, Picmonic is a fantastic tool, and if you use our code OFFWHITECOAT, you'll get 20% off. That's Off-White Coat with no spaces. So what are you waiting for? Make studying the easiest part of your day. Sign up with Picmonic and use Off-White Coat to save yourself some money. All right, everybody. This is the Off-White Coat Podcast, and I'm your host, Jordan Abney. We are coming to you live post-test day. Yes, I have just recently taken the OB shelf, and hallelujah, finally over. It was a struggle. I'm not going to lie. It was very odd. There were some weird things. Good to be done with that. Nothing better than the day after a test, when you don't have to work right after, which is, I do still have to do questions because I'm in dedicated, but, you know, tis the life. I do less on after a test day. But I am joined in the studio with my partner in crime, Mary Bess.
Hello again,
Skinner.
people. Hopefully y'all can hear me better today.
Significantly better. We're still working through some technical difficulties.
It's been a process.
Yes. Like, I am not tech savvy at all. Like, computers like to shut down around me. And while Mary Bess is better than I am,
I'm still not great.
yeah. Every now and then something happens and you actually get something good, and then you're like, shit,
I can't hear you.
Yeah.
So whatever. But
so bear with us. We're getting better daily.
Episodely. I just made that up. So anyways, yeah, Jordan took his OBGYN shelf today, early in the morning. And how did that go, basically?
We will see.
How do you feel?
It feels like I was sliding in at the last second. Mm-hmm. I had plenty of time. Okay, here's the unfortunate business. Around 30 to 45 minutes, I had to pee.
Wait, 30 to 45 minutes in or left?
Oh, left. Okay,
I was like, oh my gosh.
It honestly may have brewed around like the hour mark, but there was a slow, like it was building up. I'm still doing it. I'm on perfect time. But the last like 10 questions were difficult because then I was like, oh my God, I have to pee so bad. Mm-hmm. And then when I was reviewing, my review was like, look as quickly as possible. I'm done. You know, that looks fine to me. I could not do it. After I barely made it through without exploding my bladder. So I was like, cut it at 5, and then was just like, let me call it quits. And then when they're like checking you out, I'm like, dude, I gotta pee so bad. Like, come on, just let me go.
Yeah.
Let me go.
What did they do to check you out? Just like...
He honestly did way more than he fucking should have. He should have just like been like, see ya. But he was like, he had to like flip through this book. I had to sign my name.
Basically saying like you didn't cheat or
like this is my timeout that I left. And then he gave me a sheet of paper and blah. I like that. But that also he like flipped through this note. I was like, dude, it feels like forever when you got to pee. You're like on your tiptoes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was a very interesting a test though. There was some topics that like I will say, if you just know the topics of OB and GYN and like the stuff that's in the usual study material, it's not just that. Like it's a lot of like, oh, like, okay, this was the concept, but then it was like, here's in a way you wouldn't have thought of it before. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, like something that's like loosely on it, but you wouldn't have studied. There was a lot of like weird STD ones that I think I got right. I'm almost positive. I know I even told you about like the rape one or whatever, but I know I got that one right. But the way they worded it and everything, it could have been you're picking between the best answer. It was like weird.
Right.
You're like, ooh. I saw a very angry looking cervix today in this test. And okay.
What do you mean?
This is my one pet peeve with Prometrics. Okay. Is when I take a test at Prometrics, which I don't usually have problem with time. I know a lot of people do. And sometimes it does, like I'm coming in at the last second. But for the most part, I can finish with like 15 minutes. But when I'm at Prometrics, it significantly slows me down, especially if there's somebody like constantly checking because they're always walking behind you.
That is so distracting.
Yeah.
I hated that. Like when I took like the SAT and the ACT, like just them walk, or even like in high school, like it makes me so nervous.
Yeah,
and I know I'm not doing anything wrong.
I know they don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. But at the same time, like them walking in front, like I'm sitting facing somebody, but I can't see them because I have a barrier. But when they're walking, and then there's like the cameras, every time I'm adjusting my mask, my brain thinks, oh, the cameras and all the other stuff. I'm like, there's just, I taken the test, thankfully, when COVID hit, I was able to take some of my tests at home. Like I was like, oh, because my school had set up a system where like if you couldn't get to a Prometric, you could take it at home. And it was so much better.
Right. Because
like
you were on your own turf. Couldn't you start at basically whatever time you wanted, or
No. You started at a specific time for sure. Okay. You started, but the thing was, you could have food and stuff, which was totally different. Like Prometrics, you can't have water. You have to have nothing in your pocket.
No gum.
I could take the test with like water sitting beside me, chewing gum, and I could listen to like crackling sounds on, if I wanted to. I'm not saying I was, but everything's muted.
Yeah. You
can just take the test, like, which would be a normal scenario. Like, it's almost like a high intense situation to just take an online test.
Yeah.
You're like, I went to the Prometric Super Center in New York City.
Ooh.
And I'm like, ugh. Oh my God. There's so many, like I'm walking in the line and there's just like a cubicle of like 16 people. And then there's another cubicle of like 16 people and there's like these monitors watching. And usually there's just one in the Prometric Center and there's like a couple people watching. I was just like, oh, look at us, like a bunch of fucking lab rats.
Nerds. That's a lot of people taking a test on Tuesday.
Oh, but that whole long story, I know, right? There's so many people taking, and half the people in my group weren't taking anything that I knew. There was one guy taking step 2. One guy.
How can you tell?
Well, they were like, what test are you taking? And the people would say like 24 or SAIA or whatever. Like there was some, I was like, I don't know.
So you just hear them say it?
Yeah, I just hear them like confirming or whatever.
Gotcha.
And they're like, you are in this category because you're taking whatever.
Gotcha.
So you can do this, you can have this many breaks or whatever. You don't. I didn't have any like breaks or anything.
Boo.
Yeah, or like I couldn't get stuff out of my locker. Either way, all of that was said was because there's this fucking weird guy, and he was the guy that was checking me out that took forever when I had to pee, but he kept walking behind me, and I flipped to a picture, and there was a very angry looking cervix.
What do you mean by angry?
It was like, normally it's like a pink, and it looks like a little like cushion and like a little, almost like lips kind of thing, like it's like puckering lips.
Uh-huh.
This one was red in a lot of areas, flaky. Some would say strawberry looking.
Flaky? Ew.
Yeah, like not flaky, like there's just like red and when I'm saying strawberry, everybody that is in the medical field is going to know exactly what I mean. But
I'm thinking of like strawberry.
No, it's literally called like the strawberry cervix sign, whatever. But
is it not really strawberry looking?
No, it's very red and inflamed. That's why they say it. It's just an STD that you can get, trichomonas, what we were talking about earlier, whatever.
Okay.
But it causes the cervix to be like really, really red.
Yeah. Well, so he walked by at the prime time.
I left it on the screen for him.
Oh, good.
I made sure that he knew what he was looking at. Because he might not have known what he was like, Will, that leg looks awfully weird.
He's like, are you trying to be like a professional prostitute or something?
He's never seen a cervix.
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, I was going to say I haven't either, but then I was like, yeah, I have.
Whoa there.
Unfortunately.
Whoa there. OBGYN, right?
Yes, OB. No, I have seen enough vaginas for my life, for sure.
Yeah.
And I've only been doing it for 6 weeks. It's amazing how quickly you're like, ugh.
6 weeks.
Let's move on.
When you're in a 6-week rotation, it goes by so much faster than a 12-week, which obviously that makes sense, like doing the math and stuff. But I'm telling, like, it just flies by. It really does. I think.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially after you've done a 12-week.
Yeah.
The 6 weeks seem like
internal
a breeze. It was
med,
like over.
You being an internal med took years. And that one was also in
years off my life, for sure.
That one was also in the dead of winter, like the New York winter, and we've never experienced that before, which was 12 months long as well. So, oh my gosh. I mean, it was so long. It was just really drawn out. And that one I felt like was your hardest one at the time. So it was just draining and it was not enjoyable. And you honestly kind of dreaded going there because the people you were working with were like kind of sticklers, but also kind of just like hating their lives. And
yeah,
it was just
there was definitely more of that. Like we got to just kind of push the patients out kind of mentality. Like everybody was kind of like, some people would be like very like snooty and like you can get that work mentality in anything. Like I've worked in multiple different professions, whether it be construction or I was a bartender. I've worked in the restaurant industry, sold knives. Like you can find like people that are just snooty and stuff like that in their jobs, no matter what. Mm-hmm. But like this was like tough to be around because it was like in the medical profession, and you see like people were just like, oh my God, just like, and they're like the residents. So it's not even like they're burnt out. Like they're just like fresh in. They're like just pushing them, like, oh my God, this guy's just been here for so long. Like just pushing him out, trying to, and like some people have definitely been there long, but they were really just like annoyed with the amount of work that they had to do.
Right.
Like constantly. And I was just like, and they were always pushing it off to us. So it's like, they're bitching about how much they're working. They're pushing it off. And I know they're working a ton and they have like a bunch of responsibilities. But when you're bitching about it and then you're pushing it off.
What are you bitching about? Yeah.
We're just like, oh my God, nobody wants to be in that environment. I don't like that because I'm like, I kind of want to like meet the patient, be nice. Like when like I meet this guy and I'm like talking to him about how he likes playing pool and all this stuff, and then you're being like rude about him taking too long. I'm just like, you haven't even checked on this dude.
Right. Yeah.
Like fuck. I'm just like, and then you're sitting there and like, they're like, oh my God, room number 431. Yeah. Like, oh my God, he didn't like, his leg is just too infected. I'm like, yeah, like
because he can help that.
Like, yeah, exactly. It's like they're like, I wish he would just get better. Like, I'm like chill. This like if somebody's just being fat, like there are tons of people that are just blobs, and they're most of them would be super obese or they're manipulating the system or something like that, and you definitely see that, and you could see it. Some guy had his speaker. He bought a speaker, got sent to the hospital, and was just jamming out. When you're getting Amazon packages sent to the hospital, you're overstaying your welcome. Definitely. But some people have got to be there. And when you're being like rude about those people realize it too and are just like give you the same attitude back, and you're like, and then they're like, oh my God, and you're like, did you expect them not to be when you're ignoring them for half the day and then you say something rude? Yeah, like I would be a pain in the ass, I would just give it right, like, and I'm not saying that I really would because I guess I would, me, I'm a little bit more understanding, but I just am like, you have to understand that they're not in a comfortable position as well.
Yeah.
And this is solely the IM rotation that I was in. Like, it was just people that were hella annoying, not going off of everybody. Like, a lot of people are overworked and stuff like that.
Especially after the past couple of years, and now a bunch of people are getting laid off, so even more people are about to be overworked. But, like, my poor grandma, she just got out of the hospital and they sent her to a rehab. She had a UTI and was fighting the infection. And then she tore her like meniscus years ago, like probably a little over 5 years. But she's 92, so we didn't want to give her surgery because we were afraid like she wouldn't come off the anesthesia very well and the recovery process would be a struggle and whatever. So she's just dealt with it. So she's had knee problems since. So after the hospital fighting for her like UTI and like high blood pressure, they sent her to a rehab facility where they worked on her like her leg and her knee and everything, and still kind of dealt with the UTI and the blood pressure. But I mean, you know my grandma, angel of a lady, so like tiny and short.
Yeah,
and
she's
sweetheart. Like she wouldn't raise her voice at anyone. She wouldn't like talk back to anyone.
She's like the typical, like, very, very, but she's made it way longer than where most people would be like in the 70s. But she's like the typical frail old lady that's super nice to everybody. But her head, she's perfectly intact mentally. It's just,
she's been struggling so like with her
people,
body.
Yeah. But she's, sweetheart.
Very, so sweet. Anyways, she was so miserable there, Jordan. And I haven't gotten to talk to you about this, but they apparently were so mean to her, like rude. They wouldn't come like help her change out of her clothes. My sister Melissa went to visit her over the weekend, and she visited her on like a Friday and then went and visited her on the Saturday, and she was wearing the same clothes. Mm-hmm. And Melissa looked at the nurse and was like, why is she wearing the same clothes? She's battling a UTI. Yeah. You think sitting in the same underwear is going to help that? Mm-hmm. No. Yeah. And then so she didn't say it like that, but that's what we're all thinking. But she did ask the nurse. And it was the weekend shift, and apparently, like weekend shifts are, I don't want to say the best quality, but like no one wants to work as hard on the weekends or at night and whatever. They're just kind of going.
But that seems like you're trying to make a reason, and I do that all the time too, but you're making a reason for them to be allowed to fuck up.
I guess I'm just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt because I wasn't there. I wasn't there. This is just from what my family's telling me, and they're going to be biased. They're going to be biased towards my grandma, which I obviously am too. But yeah, my poor grandma, the day she got out of there, it was a nice facility. It was okay from the outside, but on the inside, like she had to share a room with a mean lady who like kept her up all night, and then the nurses wouldn't help her go to the bathroom, wouldn't change her clothes, and so she was sprinting out of there on a hurt leg when she got out of there. And so it's just like, it matters. I know people get burned out. I know it happens, but when that is your career, that's your profession. It's not like a part-time job. Like, you studied, you trained to be in this field. If you don't like it, then leave, because you're just hurting other people. Mm-hmm. If you're burnt out, then take a time out. Take some time off. Like, you're hurting yourself. You're hurting other people. Like, I'm telling you, my grandma, she doesn't ask for hardly anything. She's embarrassed to ask for help. She's so independent. So the time she did, it made her not want to ever do it again because she was like, oh, well, I'm bothering them by asking them to help guide me to the bathroom. Like they have other things to do, but I guess and she fell. She fell because she didn't ask for help. Yeah. And stuff like that happens. She could have broken a hip or anything. And it's really sad. And I'm tying this back to the IM. That was a long story.
No. But you touched on something there that I would like to.
Sure.
Before you tie it back, there's something to where you really should be comfortable. Like, if you're burnt out, and I understand you've got bills to pay, sometimes you go over the top on your expenditure, so then you're trying to live on that lifestyle. You're trying to do something, you're trying to be better than or support a family and do all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But there comes a point when you're burnt out, and you can see it too, but you're not enjoying life to the fullest if you're ever in that situation. And you don't have to be in medicine. Medicine just... it's very obvious because it affects somebody else.
Right. Oh, yes, that's so true.
But there's so many other people that are burnt out at the post office. And so,
Oh, those are great examples.
Yeah, there's so many people that are burnt out everywhere.
Teachers.
When you are in that situation, and I understand if you're fighting for survival, I'm not saying to just quit and give in, because I'm one of those people that when you're fighting, you got to push. But what you do is you push to a point that you can relax and kind of step back. So, and I know there's a ton of these doctors that could support themselves if they took a second to walk away and then come back with new drive. My only thought is you only get one life, right? You really need to make the most of it. Like, you shouldn't be burnt out, sitting around droned out with your eyes drooping over.
At 30 years old.
At 30 years old. Just going back and forth. And then somebody dead, like, you're barely making it. All you do is go home, and all you really want to do is, like, watch TV, because, like, that's the only release that you're having from, like, you're so tired of hearing about all everybody else's problems. Right. You got to take a step away and find that passion again. If you don't, then what's the point? You're just going to keep doing it until it affects somebody else. What? Like, you're never really so good. Like, there was an issue, I guess that would be it. This would be the best correlation, is when I was in high school and I was playing football, there was a couple times I had gotten injured, but I felt like I was the best player on the team for that position, especially in high school, because there's not that much. In college, it was totally different. You get hurt, and then it's like, oh, your guy was at the same level. Like, you could take a second. And, but in high school, you're like, I got to be out there and do this because I'm the only one that is. They rely on me. Yeah. And I can see that too, where you're like, oh, if you're burnt out, but you want to just keep pushing because you feel like you're the only one that can do it, realize that eventually your senses are going to dull to the point that you're eventually going to let something slip. So true. You're not better than that. Like, fresh eyes always seem good on something when you're getting dulled out.
So true.
So I'm saying, like, sometimes it might be best, and it's what you're saying, is that you should take a second and step away. People should be able to fluctuate. It's unfortunate because they're like, you must be in your profession for 50 years, and then you can get retirement, and then you can live maybe comfortably.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
But you should be able to, because some people, and unfortunately, I'm one of those people too, but that's kind of why I like emergency medicine and how we're talking about traveling. I have to be stimulated in like, I like to do this, and then I like to go here, because I'll retain a little bit of what I've gotten from a lot of those places. Right. And so I want to just jump around and see everything that life has to offer.
Yes.
And you know that because I know too many fucking facts about stupid random history. Yeah, because I like to deep dive into stuff like that. But if I'm cut off from that, then I'm going to be a zombie. And you got to find your passion again. And if that's not your passion, then let it go. Don't just hold on because you're like,
just because you spent
society and status or whatever
or because you've already dedicated so many years to it. It's kind of like a relationship,
Yeah.
Like, just
there you go.
You've dated for 2+ years or however long doesn't mean.
Or 7 years in medical school. Remember, there was people that have been there 7 years, and we're like 25.
Yeah,
you're like, holy shit.
That doesn't mean that's what's meant to be. Yeah, it sucks because you just dedicated that much time of your life, but. If that doesn't make you happy, then it doesn't make you happy. And you shouldn't spend the next 7 or the next 70 doing something that wasn't meant for you, And in
the best way, in a relationship, they're going to start to it's going to build up. There's no way that it doesn't build up.
And it's the little things. It's not, of course, it's the big things too, but the little things eat at you the most. Yeah. Like, oh, well, Stacy took my stapler and didn't put it back. And, and someone ate my lunch out of the refrigerator. And, oh, well, Sharon didn't give the right medicine. Well, I hope that doesn't happen. I hope they give the right medicine. But, it's like.
When the small stuff annoy you, that's when you need to take a step back.
Yeah. Yes. So. My question to you now is, we've all gotten to the point where we're either really close to burning out or we are at burnout. Like, I remember, being in it, getting really bad, senioritis in high school or in college. what are some things you do as a medical school student that helps you prevent that?
Yeah, because you can definitely feel it. Like, I even feel it too.
I can tell when you're getting burnt out.
All right. There's a couple of things. You got to completely, like, switch it up. Switch whatever you're doing. Get a mind break.
How do you do that?
One surefire way, and you hate that I always use this example, exercise. If you can break the cycle, there's a moment where you're like, this is stupid. And then I go for a run, and halfway through the run, it's like, I found my purpose again. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, okay. I'm even in the run, I know I don't have enough time before like a test or whatever. So I'm listening to maybe study material being like, hopefully this will like carry over. But it's like, there's a moment sometimes where that helps for sure. Just like cardio, some kind of, you really should do that. You feel better about yourself when you work out.
I want to comment on that. I don't hate when you say that. I mean, it bugs me sometimes, a lot of times. I will say that, but only because, and it's only because that's your answer for everything.
It is my answer for almost everything.
Like,
it's pretty much the answer to almost everything.
97% of it. And, I get it. Yes, honestly, exercise probably does help. I'm going to say 100%.
I was about to say, don't you dare skew the numbers on this.
I said 100. Like, I'm highballing it, but...
Yeah, you're right.
You have to remember, not everyone is exercise-minded as well as you are. You come from a family who literally owns their own gym.
But I just know the benefits, yeah.
Yeah. You're, your mom, has used to have a wellness clinic. Your grandparents are in pretty good shape. Your body and all the information about that. A lot of people don't come from that background, so their stress relievers aren't exercise. And I'm going to vouch for those people because
I get that.
Background, my background is, No. Whoa there. My grandpa was a freak of an athlete. You got to remember that. And that's about it. So, but my aunts and uncles, they were athletic too, and my mom and dad. But
so what happened to you?
Our stress. Whoa.
I only say that because Mary Bess also played sports in college.
I am retired. That's my excuse. I know my stress reliever is TV. But I will say exercise. It does help. It really does. Okay. I just didn't want the people to think that I hated on exercise and got the wrong idea. Because I do love exercise. I like it in a fun way, though.
I agree. Okay. Yes, you like it in a fun way. Yeah. My thing is you need a head change, right? And this is where I'm only going to give a little pushback. And literally, it's whatever works for you, right? There's a girl that I went to medical school with, and her break was she got a Coke. She would walk away. She would get a Coke, and she would get M&M's with peanuts. And she would take a second. She would breathe. She would, get, and that's how you make the world a little bit better. And then you go suffer with whatever you have to do. Because that's really the thing, is how long can you take whatever you're doing that you don't like doing?
Yeah. And
that's how you can get burnt out. Like when you're doing something that you're kind of dreading. You have to find a way to make it fun.
She would do that every day?
No.
Oh,
this is she would be like, she would push, she'd push. She worked out a lot,
Yeah.
She didn't just do this.
Okay.
But when she was like, I'm saying that you have to take it whichever way. It's different for everybody because that's not how that's not my way of treating myself. Mm-hmm. I would say that my only pushback with the TV is when you're watching TV, it's almost like you're not analyzing what's actually going on in your brain. It's almost like a stop, and you're letting something else entertain you.
Which is true.
And there is something to being maybe to separate yourself from it. But I feel like sometimes when you run away from the problem, it only makes the problem grow bigger, and you have to find a way to compress it. So so this is my way. This is my thought, because it could affect some people. do it differently. But I will say, like, if I watch TV, it doesn't help with my stress at all.
Heck no.
It makes me more
antsy as crap.
Yeah. So I will say that there is benefit to exercise and there's hella benefit to sleep. Like there's been times where I'm like, my heart's hurting. It's like a weird, I'm getting emotional, and I'm not an emotional person, but I'm like so sad after a question set. I just put my head down, a little gangster tear comes down. I'm like, what the fuck am I even doing? Is this even real life? Should I just, and then there's something about a little bit of sleep that just lets you take that emotional high that you were at and recalibrate it to a level that you're like, oh, okay. Like, I realized that I was thinking here, but now I can like reevaluate my life.
Right.
And we're talking about, we were talking about burnout. Sometimes you need to do a whole reevaluation of your life. You've been doing something that you hate for too long. But I think the best way to like prevent that, you have to make it fun. Whether it be, and this is another thing that I do. I exercise, I try to get good sleep, and then when I'm at work and I'm around people, I kind of joke around and like make the most of it almost all the time. And when I'm at the hospital, I'm always around people. So I guess I just try to make the most of it constantly. I kind of see opportunities. I'm like, oh, okay, like I really need to do well in this. Or even when I'm just standing there watching other people work, I'm like, let me figure out everything that I can like analyze in this room. Like while I'm just standing here, not doing shit. I can't touch anything. I'm like, let me make sure all the pieces are in place for what's going on. And did I just realize every part of the body that we were in that? I found like a little bit of joy, like I can just kind of make it through even those moments that would be boring.
Right. Those are great burnout tips. So exercise, sleep, and there was a third one.
I mean, it was just make the most of it. And music. Music is like a long walk and like some jams.
Yeah.
I'll be fine. I'll be fine after that.
A good podcast. You're big on that.
Yeah. A podcast is good, but a podcast also is it's entertainment. It blocks that, like, the music, I'm like, just put me at a level and let my brain, like, take in what I've been. Because, like, also I think another thing is, like, especially in medical school, which is the issue, is you're cramming just information, just hitting yourself with a brick constantly, just boom, 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 boom. And your brain doesn't have time to like think about everything that you've just seen. Mm-hmm. And then you try to have a normal life. And then it's like, should we hold on to this? Should we not hold on to this? And then you're like, well, why haven't I been holding on to this? You smash your head with a brick again. And then you try, like, sometimes it's best to, like, for me at least, like, if I just like take a walk and I listen to some music and then I like just give myself a second. Like, I don't even have to be, like, jamming out, like, with it full, like, just, like, get myself in a happier mood and then, like, process what I'm doing at a happier mood. I usually retain way more of it.
Right.
Like, I'm like, oh, okay, like, so glad I did that walk.
True.
I used to do that before my tests every night in Grenada. I would speak to you, and then I would order my food at Greek's. It was this, like, what would it be? A Greek restaurant that is.
It's a Greek restaurant.
Like right up
Greek's.
the hill.
Yeah.
And I would have it all, like I would have it on my iPad, like my notes on my iPad, and I would just put on like whatever feel good. It's usually some like jammy or rock-ish funk music. Come on.
Sopa.
Oh, yeah. Wait, Sopa? Like
what?
soup?
No.
Soca. I was like, what?
Soca. You're so right.
I was like...
Soca. I was like, it didn't sound right coming out of my mouth, but whatever. I'm going to go with it.
You got to work on your Spanish, girl.
I knew that one. Soca was the music of the Grenadians. And so
that's a hard one to study, too. It's a good one to do Anki, too, but not a... You're like...
I'm talking about relaxation and getting, like...
Oh, that's the best... That's one of the best island musics by far. Like,
that's the best
the Jamaican music is like... You're like, oh, like this is a nice sunny day on the beach. But like soca music is like we at the club at the beach, like
so
Like, we're on vacation.
Jamaica's like, okay, you're at the beach with, like, a drink in your hand. You know? Soca music. SOKA, right?
C-A.
I am really butchering this.
Damn, girl.
SOCA.
I recommend it, though.
Okay. I always listen to it. I never looked it up. Jordan always did that. So no wonder I don't know the name. But
I mean, she just lived in Grenada.
It was literally like a club on the beach with like 4 drinks in your hands.
Yeah. One is, you're sitting on the beach with a Corona in your hand. Jamaica is you sit on the beach with a Corona in your hand, just relaxing. Maybe a joint. Mm-hmm. Soca, you got 2 rum and cokes, and you're trying to get on the table. Yeah. Dancing on the table.
I wish we could play it, but just look it up.
We will not play it because I'm not sure about the guidelines.
SOCA.
But it's definitely SOCA.
Yeah.
And Grenada has its own, they're very well known for their soca music. Mm-hmm. That was the beautiful thing about it is, during Carnival, which was this huge festival. I'm sure many people have heard of it. If you haven't heard of it, it is like a festival that really it's celebrated throughout the whole Caribbeans.
And, it originated, in Brazil, right? I'm pretty positive.
I don't know the history behind it.
I'm pretty positive.
Yeah. I mean, I think the premise is, breaking free of the slavery and everything, but I'm not.
I think the original one it's either Rio. Is Rio in Brazil?
Yes.
So it is Brazil. Okay. So it's Brazil, and then, the Caribbean, Grenada and
So maybe it's not about the liberation.
Trinidad and Tobago.
I've heard Trinidad has a good one, too.
They all have, their own carnival.
Yes. And so, they all have their own carnival. So if you've heard of the Trinidadian, which everybody's heard of that one because of Rihanna or some shit. Everybody I hear about in the States has heard about the Trinidadian, or there's one other one. But every island has their own traditions. Grenada, Juve is wild. It is. They go down this one street.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just Googled where did Carnival originate, and it says Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. Not Rio.
No, but that's where I've always been told.
Oh,
Rio.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was an island. That's why I was like, oh, that's interesting that it wasn't an island. But yeah. So Trinidad, Tobago, which was the island just south of Grenada. Either way. They would go on this. There's this one stretch of a road that's right there on the ocean, and the whole island, with it would be locals, students, every single person on the island would come back on this one street, and they would blare soca music, go down on these huge trucks with these huge speakers. It was like if you had gone to a stereo store in the 1990s and got the best speaker they have. The big ass fucking speaker.
Boom
that's
boxes.
Huge boom. Yeah. And they would shove these lines of them on the trucks.
And just tape
and just
them
blare
down.
them and these huge trucks, and they would have people that were supporting each band behind them just dancing. Mm-hmm. And though the interesting thing about Juve is everybody gets covered in motor oil, so everybody's just doused in the black thick motor oil and just dancing on each other.
Everyone is black as night, and I'm not saying that as a racist thing. Literally,
everybody, yeah, it can turn a white man black real quick. Motor oil,
dark black. It was so fun though.
Mary Bess at one point had every color on her.
Well, the thing is, so they had the motor oil, and originally I was I don't really care. I don't want to get it on my clothes, if it happens, it happens. But then when we were walking down the streets, a random guy just took his hand and slapped it on my face. Not hard, but put it on my face and just ran it down, and it was game over for me.
She was like, this looks fucking cool.
It was game over. There was people with paint buckets, and I was like, oh, is that pink? Thank you. Oh, is that yellow? I'll take some of that. White? I don't have that color yet. And I would literally dip my hand in these paint buckets and put it on myself.
Oh.
And I put it on you. What?
No. the key is to put it on yourself and then dance with somebody and then you rub it off on the other person.
That's basically what I was doing with you.
With me, yes. Yeah. I was like, you should have left it at where you were like, I put it all over my own self. I was like, I didn't know you did it. I thought you'd
No. I put it on my own self.
Run through a color run or something. I was like, shit.
No, I put it on my own self, and then I had extra in my hand. We put it on you while we danced.
Yes. No. That's the thing is they like all the Grenadians will just lather up in this motor oil, and then they'll just grab somebody, grind on them for a second, and then that girl walks away, kind of looking disheveled, and just motor oil all over like all parts of her body.
I will say,
and then by the end, it's just like
it's a what?
A shit show and a twerk fest. To be honest, that's the best one.
It really is, yeah. And everyone's exhausted, and everyone's drunk.
Oh my god! Oh yeah, so the party like Juve starts at 12 a.m. like 12:01
midnight.
Yeah, at midnight, and goes essentially until the sun rises, and really until like the morning, like because they have another celebration at that nighttime. But this is the second Carnival starts is this party. Well, people pregame this party. And then go in. So you're drinking, because this is at midnight. So you start drinking like 10, something like that. And then the party starts at 12. Well, this is the party way beyond it. You can imagine. Like, just leaving this thing, my whole head felt like I had just like, it's like almost like a weird tribal, like weird situation where you're just kind of like, your whole head is in a daze. Like, from the music and the smoke and from all the people going around, and then you're just mind shocked at the end. And so it's like it lasts all the way until the morning, like definitely until the sunrise. Like the funny thing is that most of the SGU students, even when I would go, like it was at 3 a.m., people would start crashing, and the boats don't come till the sun's up.
Morning,
all the islanders are celebrating. They're not. The boats don't come till the sun's up.
There's no taxis because the whole road is like basically closed because it's full of the celebration and the parade and the people. So like no cars can get down there. So like our roommate and good friend Raj, like he had to walk like a far ways just to get into a car to go home.
Well, the thing is, nobody is working.
And that too.
Nobody is working. Like, the only people that are working are people that are realizing that they're going to make some fucking money off some students. And so they're taking the time out of their holiday. And this is like 4 people.
And it's
because most people are not giving up.
It's only the students who they're going to make money off of, because the local people are either...
They got their plans. Yeah. They've been doing this shit for years.
They're either partying or 2, they live close by, or 3, they're too poor to afford a taxi, so they're gonna walk no matter what. So the only people making money off of people, if that makes sense, is the students. Yes. The lazy Americans.
Or it's not even Americans, Canadians, all like we're all like look hella privileged compared to them.
Right.
And they're definitely just lining up waiting for the students, because the Grenadians, they know the fucking deal. They're not going to come unprepared to Juve. Like they're not going to wimp out at 3 a.m.
Some of those taxis had like blankets ready to go to sit in their cars.
Well, they knew,
They knew, but it was like the taxis were through the roof because blankets could only do so much. Like,
well, that was the thing, is there was that one taxi that would wait at the end of where the boat would take you, and then they would take us back to our place, and then that was super. Yeah, that was the super.
That's what we did. So we took a boat like to a halfway point, and then we got a taxi to take us the rest of the way back to our place, and then it was
so
expensive though.
What was included in the package was these people would take us to like this location venue, and they would have drinks, and then it would be on the street, and then we'd all go out and celebrate. And then they would have a water taxi that would take us back. Honestly, the most beautiful water ride in my life is coming off that days. And then, like, finally getting that ride home, you're like, holy fucking shit.
Was that the best ride?
I'm going to survive. I'm going to survive. And then you make it there and you're covered in shit. You are like disgusting. And you just get off the pier and fall in the ocean and just soak in crystal clear blue water. And you're like, oh my God, I have made it. And you've got like your friends. You're like, oh my God, we finally survived.
That was the best boat ride you said you've ever taken?
No, but it's just a clearing. Obviously, the best one would have been when we took the whole weekend tour.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just saying, there's a fucking moment of beauty. And when I went to Grenada for the first time, it was by far. Mm-hmm. Something else happened there and took it, but there was a moment, and it's still like number 2 or 3.
I can't say the same, only because I was like trying to sleep.
She was falling, yeah.
It's a long night. It's exhausting, like, because you're dancing, you're drinking, you're having the best time of your life. So the second you sit down, you're just like, good night, you know? Mm-hmm. So the second, like, we were like, okay, well, let's go back. We had to wait at this dock. I, like, was falling asleep, and there's loud music.
I mean, as loud as it could possibly be.
And then people everywhere. And I'm just, like, in the middle of this dock, like, trying to take a nap.
She's not the only one, though. Mary Beth found some other people falling asleep and was like, oh, here's where the students are falling asleep.
This is the move.
Pro tip, from someone that's done Carnival a couple times. The key is having food when you get home. So, pro tip.
Your girl's idea.
I'm not sure if that was your idea.
Yes, it was, Jordan. Yes, it was.
I went and got the pizza and did everything
said, let's
for
get
it.
Just because you went and got it doesn't mean I'm not the one who told you.
You might. Okay. We'll say it's Mary Beth's idea. It's Mary Beth's idea.
We're not going to say. MB knows because I know it's a great idea. But I knew it from the beginning. I was like, we're going to be starving. I'm not going to want to cook. We have no food. So we ordered pizza the night before.
Yes. So the key is get pizza before. Like a whole pizza. Like a whole fucking pizza. You're going to need... 4. We had a friend visiting, so we were like,
there was 3 of
let's
us.
just stock up with like 4 pizzas. Yeah, we knew it was going to build up. Because once again, people come back over to your... Like, there was other people eating the pizza and everything. Either way, stock up on pizza for sure. Because you're going to need the carbs or whatever, the good juju. Breakfast. After that, you're going to need... it's going to be fucking breakfast time by the time you're back. You're going to need something to soak up everything. We had a beautiful pool that overlooked like the ocean. And after we got back, I'm going to tell you, we had pizza and we just went and jumped in the pool and sat in the pool and ate the pizza.
We put the chairs in the pool and had the pizza. And it was the move. Like, after a long night, drinking, dancing, partying, just to sit. And we were sitting, like, in our clothes, like, doused in motor oil. Like, we didn't change. We didn't
I took my shirt off, but
I didn't do that.
Everything else was discarded. Like, everything you wear that night is thrown away.
It's thrown away. So you wear, like, cheap clothes.
Unless you're Fragner and you wear your fucking white shoes.
Yeah.
And then you leave them on the outside of the deck for months.
The rest of your time.
Or the rest of the year.
Anyways, but he enjoyed that pizza in the pool with us, so.
He did.
Shout out Frag.
Shout out to Fragner. Yes.
Anyways,
so there was only certain amount of people that survived to that point, too. There was only 4 of us. Mm-hmm. Like, by the 7 a.m., like, everybody had made it back to the house. The odd thing is, if you leave Carnival early, you will make it home at the same time as the person that didn't.
Yes.
Because, like, all the people, I had 5 roommates. All of us separated, went our separate ways. Hell, none of us made it back to the same taxi ride at the same time. We were with other people. And yet, every single person didn't make it back till 7. Even the guy that left at 2 and tried to find the first taxi and get that guy to take him home, he did not make it home. He was eating pizzas with us, too, because he didn't make it home until 7 as well.
It was so funny. Like, they were like, oh, well, we just got here, like, literally 2 minutes ago. Like, you must have passed our taxi. And then we're, like, stumbling in. And then next thing we know, we look up, and here's some more people coming in. And then it's like, oh, okay. It really was. Like,
everybody survived.
And we were like, oh, okay, well, what'd you do? When'd you leave? And it was like, oh, I left at 2 a.m. Well, I just left and I'm getting here. And, oh, I left 2 hours ago. You know, it was a different story for everyone. But
it's wild. I mean, I know people that have slept outside the IGA. They just slept, like they couldn't make it back to campus.
IGA was like...
It is the craziest celebration because it's a culture shock. It's not like anything American at all. We don't have anything like that here in America.
No.
And when you're and the good thing is, if you're willing to be cool about it, Grenadians will embrace you. If you're being a snob, like Grenadians will immediately fight back at you. Right. They're kind of like some fighting culture kind of people. They're a little rowdy, and I guess that's why I like them. They're a little wild. But if they see that you like to dance and you want to like participate in their ceremony, most of them aren't out for ill will. Hell, half of them were like trying to put saltfish in Mary Bess's mouth and dance around with her just because.
That's true.
But if you can feel that vibe, and you almost have to embrace it with them.
You do. No,
you have to. You have to, or you're going to stand out, and people are not going to like you.
Well, not even that. Honestly, if you don't, you're not going to have the best time of your life. Like if you just take, like that's
you're going to be. People mentally break.
Yeah, and you've witnessed that your first year, you know. But then second year, like. I think I personally did a really, and you've done a good job both the years. I witnessed it the second year, but not the first. But your second year down there, like I got to go. I feel like I did a really good job of like, oh, well, you want to put paint on me? Okay. You want to put motor oil on me?
I thought I was going to lose my girlfriend. There was multiple times Mary Bess they were like, here, hop in this wheelchair and we'll just wheel you off. And she was like, how about you hop in and I'll wheel you. And then all of a sudden I see her running down the street with a grown man in a wheelchair. And I'm like, well, because I'm like making sure that she's okay constantly because this is a shit show. People are packed in. You could lose somebody at any point in time.
In a heartbeat, yeah. And everyone looks the same, no offense, but because everyone's doused in motor oil.
Yeah. It's very hard to get the distinctions. But you're pushing somebody running down the street. I was like,
yeah. And I kept going. Like,
of course, yeah. No, they loved. Yeah, no, they were like. It was like a whole gaggle of people were just like enjoying being around you and being goofy with you, like because they gave you their horns, and we were just like, woo.
I forgot about that. They had there's this guy, and several other people had it, but there's this guy with like this helmet with horns, like a Viking helmet looking.
It's almost like a Viking helmet, but it's not. It's black. It's black as
like
can be.
Canadian vibes.
Well, yeah, they're trying to be the devil. They're trying to be the jab.
Yeah, which we'll explain that in a minute. But I'm like, hey, can I like borrow your hat? I want a photo, you know? And he's like,
can I borrow your horns?
Sure. But it was just fun. Like, but if you don't do that, if you don't embrace the culture, you're not gonna have a great time. You know, like you have to go all in to really want. Like if you're vulnerable and you put yourself out there. Like, people are vulnerable back and will put themselves out there too. And then you just both have a great time. And I suggest doing that with not just Carnival, but like with life in general. Like, I mean, going back to the relationship things. If you're vulnerable, like someone's going to be vulnerable back, you know, everything ties together, I feel like, you know. But to go back to Carnival and the jab, and the whole reason they celebrate.
That's the reason that Juve is such a wild and, you know, some of all the traditions.
So, one, let me say this before you explain, like, Grenada and, I guess, Trinidad, Tobago. But I looked up the Brazil one, and they celebrated the Portuguese immigrants from the islands, and people would go into the street soaking each other with buckets of water and mud and food, not motor oil. I don't know what kind of food.
Mud and food? You just get like a sticky paste and then corn or some shit? Like just
That's what I'm thinking, yeah. But, so they were basically...
They just hit you with a fucking handful of maize?
Yeah. So, Carnival festivities in Brazil date back to 1723 with the Portuguese immigrants from the islands. So,
wow.
Yeah. So, theirs is similar but a little different. That's, I guess, what I was thinking the whole time, though. But since we were talking about it earlier. But for Carnival, for Trinidad, Tobago, and Grenada, you want to explain why we...
Oh, no. Just, the only thing I was going to say is the reason they're wearing the horns is because they're trying to, I guess, imitate or emulate, like, the jab. And the jab is like the devil. But it's like, yes, it's the devil, but it's the devil. It's the devil that gets into you, right? It's that devil that is like, oh, like, tonight we're going to do something wrong. We're going to do something wild. We're going to do... When you got the jab, like, you know, so, like, that's what they're saying. It's in almost every one of the songs, you know, that some of the soca music has. Like, it makes it really great because with me being Jordan Abney, my nickname was Jabs in college. And then in Grenada, they were like, well, we're not going to fucking call you Jabs. They started doing that, and they're like, you're just now Jab.
No. You... If not I, pretty much gave yourself that name.
Jab?
Jab.
No, Jesus did.
Oh, Jesus did? Okay.
Yeah, this was way before. Yeah.
Okay.
Before you, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not they then. It's not...
Or he was... Like, a lot of people...
No. He started it, and you kept it going, and so now a lot of people... Like, Jordan loves nicknames.
What?
What are you even denying? Like, if someone called you a nickname, you would just, like, your heart would explode.
I prefer people to call me by my incognito name, yes. Whether it be... Well, it's because in high school, I was Big Ab, which is... Now that I'm thinking about it,
in high school, he was larger. So.
I was much larger.
He was big. My mom still calls you that.
My mom, yeah, your mom.
But
Miss Skinner still does.
My mom still calls Jordan that because
she always like, "Hello, Big Ab." I'm like, "You're the only one." You and my best friend from high school. Are the only two.
But that's because they knew you in high school and middle school. Because my mom taught you, and then obviously your best friend went to high school with you.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like every progression of my life, someone has just decided to call me a different nickname.
I call Jordan. You don't want to know. D-I-C-K. I'm just kidding.
Kid. So either way, that's one of the things that you will hear multiple times in the soca music if you check it out.
Dick? Oh,
no. Jab. If you're confused at what the hell that is meaning. But if you do have if you're looking for soca recommendations, there's Diagnosis.
What's the one?
Diagnosis was the See Me Again.
That is a classic.
By Rooney J. Or
okay, you guys have to get that one. That one is a classic. And then
there was that one good that was like
Jab. We got the moves like Jab.
Oh, that one was Start to Move Like Jab.
Okay.
And that was by Jab King.
Okay, so what was the first one?
Diagnosis, aka like See Me Again.
Okay.
Like in parentheses, but it's like by Rooney J. And then Start to Move Like Jab by Jab King. And then another one was like, you remember that one song this one always gets me, but this because they played it so much. But it was like, Grenada got the best mask by far.
I thought that was
Grenada got the best mask, no, I will.
That's a different song?
No, this is a different song. Yeah, this is called Best Mask, parentheses, Grenada.
They all...
By Chaos and LED.
I will say...
After the whole process of Juve, your head just blares soca music for like 5 days.
Your head
it just can't get out of it. It's like
not even that. My head just thumps like thump, thump.
Yeah,
thump,
that's what I'm saying. It's like a weird tribal thing. Like it's like for hours after you just hear like the low beating of drums, almost like boom, boom, and you're just like, and you're like in a cloud and just hearing drums and moving like step by step in a weird,
yeah. But okay, those are the top 3 songs.
I will say those are good ones to check out. If anybody's got some recommendations, hit us up at Off-White Coat Podcast or Gmail. Do we have a Gmail? Fuck, I don't know. Yes. Off-White Coat Podcast on Instagram
or Off-White Coat Podcast at Gmail.
At gmail.com. Yeah, I knew we did. Yeah, hit us up.
It's not that
Tell us some recommendations. Hopefully they'll let us play that. If we could start with some soca music, I'd be down. We're still working on Dr. Feelgood, but
we'll see.
We'll see. Damn it, Motley Crue.
Jordan is a die-hard Motley Crue fan. So, for this podcast, we wanted to do Dr. Feelgood for the intro. And it's the one. Sing it, Jordan.
We love you. Please respond to me. I would love to get that. Just the intro.
How's it go?
Dun da 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 dun da da dun da da dun dun da 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 dun da da dun da da da. He's the one that called it the figure. He's the one that make you feel alright.
Okay, that's it. That's all we need.
He's gonna be your Frankenstein.
Okay, now that's all we need.
I could, we might just have to put that part. If Motley Crue, please respond to me because we'd love to put you, but we will do my voice if we have to.
No, we will not.
No, there was just, they're great. They're fucking great.
They're great. And honestly, I meant to tell you this the other day. We were talking about like dog names. I can't remember what dog name we were talking about the other day. Someone just named their dog after another band. Do you know who I'm talking about? Like you brought it up.
Ozzy Osbourne. I don't know.
Whatever.
After another band. Oh, no, you're talking about Rick and Morty.
Oh,
there was the two brown dogs, and they were Rick and Morty. Yeah, I was like,
never mind. It wasn't.
That was good. That was like, well done. So what are you talking about?
That one is good. But I meant to tell you this. The next dog we get, I would love to name it like Motley because you love Motley Crue. Or just Crue. But I think I like Motley better.
Yeah, Motley is going to be better than Crue.
That's a cute name.
Yeah.
Right?
The only other exotic name, I mean, yeah. Unless you're calling it Mick Mars.
Nah. I would go Nikki Sticks, though. Like
Nikki Sticks.
Nikki or not.
We'll just call him Sticks.
Sticks. I like Sticks, not Nikki.
Well, I mean, Nikki will be his first name, and then we'll just call him Sticks.
We'll call him Sticks. Like
I had a dog named Sticks.
Oh, you did?
It was named Stick.
Who?
And Stick. So my grandparents, they lived in the country.
Oh, you really did?
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, my granddad never named any of the dogs until they had like a distinguishing factor. Like one time a dog gave birth. It's interesting because a dog didn't have a name while it would come up on our property. But my granddad would feed them. So then sometimes they'd hang around. And then one dog gives birth. And so that dog got a name when it gave birth. And we started calling her Mama. And then the one that was born was called Stick because he was, I don't know, playing with a stick.
Sure.
Didn't take much. But either way, we should have spelled it Stixx.
Next time.
That would have been way better of it, yeah.
Well, our next dog, I guess. I still like George after...
George of the Jungle.
No, after St. George.
Oh.
And I really like Jersey after...
I like Jab Jab. Jab Jab!
Honestly, I'm not opposed to that. I really like that too.
If it's a boy, we could name him that.
No, I'm cool with either one.
Jab Jab, you little bitch.
You're very aggressive.
Sorry, I got Motley Crue on my mind.
We treat our animals, or animal.
That's why, but you beat
kindly.
Riley and hurt her leg.
I did. Don't you say that.
I'm just kidding, everybody. That's terrible. No. She's going to be very upset because I said that on air. But Riley injured herself by herself to set the record straight.
Thank you. Oh my God. I was about to get mad about that one. Mama Bear over here.
You're the one that beat her ass in the...
No, I did not. I do want to go back to, because you touched base on what you do for your burnouts, but I never got to touch base on what I do for mine.
Carry on.
So really though, the only kind of burnouts like I've ever really truly like experienced were, there was a couple times in high school I was playing basketball and like the basketball season and my coach and my teammates and the record we were going through, it just wasn't like meshing very well, and like you got burned out there, and then like you get senioritis as a senior in high school, obviously. Well, then senioritis in college was probably worse than it was in high school because at the time I was dating Jordan and all I wanted to do was be with Jordan. Gag, I know, right? So
I was like, for a second I was like, you weren't with me, but
yes, I was.
Wait, senior in college? I thought you meant in high school.
No, in college.
I was like,
no.
Because there was another Jordan, yeah.
Senior in college, I was coming home like every weekend, or you were coming to see me.
Or I was doing your fucking work, because oddly enough, you were a senior in college and you just stepped into the sciences. So I was like, this is easy.
Oh my God. Okay. Note to everyone, do not put off your both of your science classes till your senior year.
Or do it and then make sure you find somebody in college that will do it for you. Because that's what Mary Beth did.
You didn't do it for me, but you are a hell of a tutor.
Yeah. Because I would drive to see her, and I would just call her, and then she would discuss her situation of, like, what she needed to understand, and then I would break it down in my drive, and then she's like, perfect. And then she'd have her homework done by the time I got there.
There was one time, though, you did that, and I didn't know you were coming to see me, though, and it was like
I know, yeah. You were like, wow, you've really stayed on the phone for 3 hours. I'm like, I just pulled up.
Yeah, or you're like, okay, yeah, but I gotta go now, and the next thing I know, you're knocking on my door, and it's like, oh, hi.
Yeah. No, that worked out perfect.
That was perfect, yeah.
Because I was glad you finally did your fucking homework, too.
Thanks to you. But anyways, some of my burnout methods were similar to Jordan's, you know, exercise, get good sleep, make the best of every moment, you know, but I really push for, and I don't have a large circle, but if you can latch on to a couple good, solid friends or support system, whether that's a family member, and literally vent it out, cry it out. Like, a good cry for me helps so much. And during senior year of college, or like basketball in high school or whatever, like it really does help to have, like, to be able to express your feelings and to have someone be there for you and support you no matter what and stay by your side. If that's not the case, you don't really have anyone to go to, I highly suggest, and this is probably my number one, I should have said this first, take a trip. Whether that's like, honestly, if you get out of your comfort zone, it puts everything in perspective for you. Everything in perspective. Especially if you go somewhere completely different. Like, I was living in Georgia at the time. By the time we went to Grenada, holy crap, I was like, wow. Like, I thought, because I was burned out from grad school. I was done with that place.
You were. Honestly, you blossomed a lot in that. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, you really...
And so...
Because you were burnt out, you were kind of like, fuck this.
I was over it. I was done with that place.
You were done. You didn't even know what steps you want to take further in life because you were so... Done. Just, I need to get out of what I thought I wanted to do. I knew... Because you wanted to do, like, sports. And you were just like, I know I don't want to do this. I know I don't know what the fuck I want to do. But I don't know. You found that.
But going to Grenada, going to a place that's like culturally different, ethically different, morally, you know, emotionally, physically, everything is different. Like, it's basically a third world country compared to America. And it really puts things in perspective for you because, like, mine and Jordan's relationship, pretty much like, yeah, we were dating for a couple years before that, but being in Grenada together, that's where our relationship really took off, I believe. Mm-hmm. Like, we
just knew we could do it after that.
Yeah. Well, one, we weren't long distance anymore. We had been battling long distance for 2 years, basically, like a year and a half. And then when we got there, you know, we still had our ups and downs and stuff, but we learned how to work as a team. We were both out of our comfort zone, so we had to rely on each other. And then, we had the best time and made great memories. And long story short, though, if you take a trip, go for a weekend, go for a day. It doesn't have to be expensive. Go out of town to go on a hike and clear your head. Do something different to make going to work switched up.
And you have a story. You got whatever you can tell. You got all those annoying ass coworkers that you fucking. Now you can be like, I'm better than you. No, but
I mean, kind of, but not really.
No. You shouldn't be doing it like that. I'm just viewing it. I'm just saying that to be funny.
Don't say it. Spray it. No,
I 100% agree with you. So there was a moment, and it was in college, and I didn't know what. I wasn't getting the grades that was good enough. Mm-hmm. I was playing football. I had thought I wanted to go into medicine my whole life. Not my whole life, but okay, so something that really triggered me early was I was really into gross shit, and I really love the human body. And the more and more I could learn about my own body and how everything was working, there's so much joy that gave me. And I always wanted to help people out because in my situation, I was kind of always the the helper, the glue in my family. I was trying to like make sure everybody was happy. So I always wanted to help people out, and I loved the body. It just felt natural. But in college, there was this moment where I just I didn't know which path to take. It felt weird. And life is a weird thing of like, it's not running a straight line. It's almost like if you're getting dropped into a slipstream and you're just running at that pace, and you got to find the right stream that takes you to where you want to go. And the stream curves and bends. It curves, it bends. Yeah. You're not really sure, and sometimes you got to drop down and figure out which one you're hitting a thing, and it's kind of clogged, and you're like, I'm not going anywhere. I got to drop down. Yeah. And there was a moment where I was in that moment. My lane was clogged. I didn't know what the fuck to do. My uncle, he promised me a trip when I was 18, and my uncle is this gear editor. He writes in all these adventure magazines. He essentially is like a travel junkie. Adventure extraordinaire. That's what he does. He travels, he goes to new places, and he'll write articles, blah, blah. His thing is he's always wanted to teach me and my brothers about travel, about embracing new cultures. It was kind of always his goal. He didn't have kids, and he always really was like, if anything, you're going to be my kids. You're going to understand this lesson I have to teach, which is all that you can benefit from this. And there was a moment. So he promised me that we would go to Peru and hike up Machu Picchu. Well, then I started football, and football got in the way, and blah, 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 and my whole summers and everything kept getting... I never had time to myself, blah, blah, blah. We had to keep pushing it back. And then there was that summer, which was 2 years after I'd already been in college. So then this is when the burnout is hitting at its most, which it was the perfect time. It was the perfect time. If it had happened earlier, it wouldn't have been as impactful. But so we go with my two brothers who had just graduated as well. He says, they had just graduated high school, and we go to Peru, and we go to Lima, and we, do the chapel of St. Francisco, I believe, and we stayed at some hostels there, and just explored around Lima. We went to Cusco, and we hiked the Incan Trail. And there was a moment on the Incan Trail where we had reached the peak. It was the peak was called Dead Woman's Pass, I believe, 14,400 feet up. It was one of the highest parts of the hike as you're walking up. And you were on your way down. And we had stopped to, and it was after, that was like day 1.5 of the hike. And it's a 3-day hike. There was where everybody's kind of tired. Everybody's out of their comfort zone. And we're resting for the night. So this is day 2, end of the day 2. But we've already done most of the hard job. There was a moment where I'm on top of this hill. We've gone, like you're saying, I had a mind change and I had a struggle. I'm on top of the hill looking down. Everybody else's break. Everybody, like my brothers went to their tents to sleep. They had like a little thing. My uncle went and he journaled or whatever. He took that time, and I went and I found a rock and I sat on it, and I was like, and there was just thinking to myself, like I was like, what is going on? And there was an odd clarity. It was an odd. I knew the person that I was striving to be and the person that I was acting like. And the person I was acting like had way too much pride and way too much, like I was being a way that didn't get me to the person I wanted to be. I had the, whether it was like the football mentality, like, and I'm not saying that I was like a jock and rude to people and stuff like that. I just, like, I was very like, oh, this is the way, like I was very like, some of this stuff is dumb. Like in college, you're doing some stuff and I'm not learning anything about medicine at all. And most of the shit you're doing is wasting of time. So I was just like, this is dumb. I'm going to put very little effort into it. But I realized that as I was, like, the person I was acting like wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to be. And there was a weird moment where I was like, where my lane was clogged. And I was like, oh, wait, now I see the path I have to take. Like, I don't have to act, I don't have to be this person. Like, your personality can be multiple different ways. That's Pruva. Your personality can be multiple different ways. And there was a moment where I realized I could be this person and be successful and be happy this way. And that beauty comes with travel. And you kind of find I don't know. It's a weird. It's like we were talking about the slipstream. You find, and then once you're down and you're in your stream, you can go like, and then yeah. So, but this has been another exciting episode, and I'm getting cut off. Everybody shut me down. We love you. Enjoy. We'll be here next week. Thank you, everyone.
Hey everyone, I want to take this time to tell you about our friends over at TrueLearn. They have this top-of-the-line test bank that is perfect for any upcoming board exams that you may have. They have test banks for all types of exams. So whether you're studying for medical school, nursing school, OT, pharmacy, and others like speech pathology, TrueLearn is the way to go. If you're like me and going through medical school, they have a question banks for all the big exams, like Step 1, Step 2, and Step 3, with quality assessments for each exam. Look, I know we didn't go into healthcare because we love taking tests. This is the hard part of the job. Make it easy on yourself with TrueLearn. Sign up now with the code OFFWHITECOAT to get $25 off your purchase. That's OFF white coat, no spaces, to get $25 off your purchase. This is a test bank that you do not want to pass up on. Make this easy on yourself. Take the deal, pass your boards, and get back to enjoying the reason you went into healthcare. And make sure to use Off White Coat when you pick it up.